Hello and welcome. My name is Jen Van Ness and I work at an international school in Japan. Today, I'd like to focus on data protection laws in schools. In Japan, personal protection of information is considered a fundamental right. First, I'd like to give a little bit of brief background and history about these laws. Culturally, the people of Japan are sensitive to the protection of their data in their daily lives. Japan's data protection law, the Act on the Protection of Personal Information, otherwise known as APPI, was adopted as early as 2003 and is purported to be one of the first data protection regulations in Asia. Japan's data protection laws were overhauled in 2015 and further revised in 2020, with the revisions coming into effect this year in 2022. Data protection is probably the most active area of law, and it's continually evolving as technology evolves and the scope of personal information is disclosed by individuals. The AAPI is an act designed to protect the personal information of all citizens. Anyone who receives the personal data of Japanese citizens must be in full compliance with the Act on the Protection of Personal Information, or they risk legal action. First, we need to understand a little bit more about what type of data is protected under the APPI. APPI distinguishes between two categories of protected data. One is personal information, and two is special care required personal information. The first refers to PPI, or personally identifiable information. This includes name, date of birth, your email address, or other biometric data. Also, it includes the medical history of students and medical records. In 2017, an update clarified that personal data includes numeric references that can be used to identify specific individuals, such as passport information or a driver's license, if that's applicable. My school, for example, is committed to the privacy of personal information of its students and its faculty. Our school abides by best practices and principles laid out by the amended Act of the Protection of Personal Information, and this is set out by the Personal Information Protection Commission in Japan. My school retains information on our students and their families, our alumni and employees, for as long as it's relevant for the purposes of school operations. At my school, we delete information that's unneeded, such as data stored about former prospective students and their families, after 3 years. Anytime we begin collecting personal information from a new data set, we will seek consent from the identifiable person or their guardian. Let's talk about the utilization of personal information and define exactly what it is as it relates in a school setting. Personal information is information relating to any living individual containing a name, date of birth, or other descriptions recorded in a document. The personal information we use at my school is used to the operations of the school and provide related services. We use information about students' learning to make decisions that help each child to reach their potential. We use email addresses of our community members to send targeted messages conveying important information. We use and store phone numbers of our parents and their emergency contacts to ensure that our students are kept safe. So these are important things to have in schools. Access to special care information, which would include racial or ethnic group membership data or medical history records, and this is defined in Article 2.3 of the amended Act of the Protection of Personal Information, is only restricted to appropriate employees. By default, employees at the school only have the most basic access to personal information databases. Higher level of access is granted only as necessary. Additionally, personal information is not revealed or disclosed to third parties. We will never sell your personal information. So this, again, is a review of the data protection laws in Japan as they relate to schools. I provided a historical and current perspectives on my selected law, and I've also talked a little bit about how this law affects schools and the protection of its students, and also how it affects learning and teaching. Again, my name is Jen Van Ness, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.